Welcome into Chicago Bears Now. I am your host, Harrison Graham. 2 preseason games are in the book, so I figured, all right, it's a good time to do an updated roster projection video, take a stab at what the 53-man roster could look like when the Bears trim down to 53 on August 30th. Now, they will cut 5 more players this Tuesday to trim down to 80. Video tomorrow on that. But for now, we're going to go ahead and skip ahead and try to project the 53-man roster. We'll go position by position. Plus, stay tuned to the end of the video because I got a practice squad projection as well. Before we get to all that, though, get the FGBs going down in the comment section and pick up your FGB t-shirt right now at chatsports.com/FGB. Listen, the Bears play the Packers in Week 2, and guess what? You got to get your shirts pretty quickly because Week 2 is just about a month away, so go ahead and get your shirt now to give you plenty of time to rock it a couple of times before the Bears go up to Lambeau and hopefully kick the Packers' ass. Chatsports.com/FGB. Link is in the comments and in the description. And hey, if you want to send me a picture of you rocking the shirt on Twitter, at HGrahamNFL, I'll put you on the show. All right, let's start with quarterbacks here. Pretty simple, no changes. Justin Fields, Trevor Siemian, those are going to be your 2 quarterbacks on the 53. I do not see a scenario where Nathan Peterman is on the 53-man roster. I do think he will be on the practice squad, but that is quarterback. Very cut and dry, honestly the easiest to project out of all the positions. Because then it starts to get a little bit hard. A little bit of a change here based on last roster projection to now. I got 4 running backs and a fullback making it. Maybe that's a little hefty. I'm not sure if that'll be the case, but David Montgomery, he's your starter. Khalil Herbert, I think, is safe as RB2. Trestan Ebner, who needs work in pass pro, but has shown enough flash and ability, especially on special teams, and as a pass catcher as well. I think he makes this team. And Darrynton Evans is arguably your best pass pro running back outside of maybe Montgomery. I think he's shown enough in the preseason. He's firmly on the bubble. Then they're going to carry a fullback, Khari Blasingame. So 5 spots here at running back, including the fullback. It's kind of a lot, but I do think it's a big possibility for this football team. How many running backs do you think will make the Bears roster? Don't count fullback here. This is just running backs. 3 or 4. I could see it either way, but Darrynton Evans, he keeps giving this coaching staff something to think about, and that's all he can do. Get your votes in 3 or 4 when it comes to running back. Let's go to receiver. This is a tricky one as well. Obviously, Darnell Mooney. I think Equanimeous St. Brown is safe, even though he hadn't done a ton in the preseason. Byron Pringle is going to make this team. Velus Jones-Jr. is going to make this team. I think those 4 are locks. I think Tajay Sharp's pretty safe, He didn't even play in the second preseason game. I guess he was a little nicked up, but I think he did enough in that first one. He's a vet as well. He's actually played a decent amount. I've got N'Keal Harry as wide receiver 6 making the roster. He's obviously hurt right now. It's a tricky one. I could see a scenario where they carry Harry through the initial 53, then they put him on short-term IR, either bring back a Daz Newsome, a Dante Pettis, someone like that, Isaiah Coulter, who's actually made some plays in the preseason. They may only go 5 receivers. We'll see, but I got to think they're going to carry N'Keal Harry through the initial 53 and then put him on short-term IR. We'll see what happens. It's obviously a tricky one as there's about 8 or 9 guys in the mix for 5 or 6 spots. Tight end, you could go 3 or 4. I'm going 3 for now. Cole Kmet, Ryan Griffin, James O'Shaughnessy. No changes here. Chase Allen could make this team. They are going to run a lot of 2 tight end sets, and if they want to be safe there, they could carry him as a tight end 4. You could carry Jake Tongs, who's kind of your 5th tight end and your number 2 fullback. He actually showed some nice things in that Seahawks game, especially if Blazingame's wrist injury is serious. He's in a cast. I'm not sure what that situation is right now, but I could see a scenario where you go a 4th tight end here, whether it's Allen or Tongs. For now, I'll go 3. I think those 3 are locks, and quite frankly, I think the tight end room for Chicago is actually pretty damn solid. So 3 tight ends for now, Kmet, Griffin, and O'Shaughnessy. Subscribe to us here at Chicago Bears Now because, like I said, the Bears are going to have to cut 5 more players by Tuesday or put a couple on season-ending IR. We'll see. Updated cut candidates video coming tomorrow. Going to take a look at some guys who maybe struggled through 2 preseason games that could be on the way out. Hit that subscribe button. I'm going to predict which guys get cut this upcoming Tuesday, so go ahead and join us tomorrow for that video. All right, offensive line, 9 players make it. This is kind of just a rough starting five because, right guard and right tackle isn't settled yet, but I think left tackle through center is Braxton Jones, Cody Whitehair, Lucas Patrick, who's hurt right now, but obviously he's going to make the team, and at worst, he's going to miss 1 or 2 games. I think he still has a chance to play week 1. Tevin Jenkins, who played pretty well on Thursday night against Seattle. Larry Borum, who we'll talk about in a second, right tackle. I think Ja'Tyre Carter makes it. He's firmly on the bubble. He's been better than Zach Thomas, who you guys noticed gets cut here. Sam Mustipher, the backup center, may have to play week 1, week 2. We'll see. Michael Schofield, I think, is kind of your swing guard. And then Riley Reif, who obviously could start at right tackle, but I think I owe Larry Borum a bit of an apology. I don't think he played great against Seattle, but I put him in the losers category of our winners and losers coming out of that game. Watched more of the tape, kind of rewatched some of that game. He played better than I thought on first glance. Now, he didn't play as good as Tevin Jenkins did at right guard, but I do think there's a scenario where he could start at right tackle. He's at least making this team, but I think if you're the Bears, the best scenario is him, Jenkins, and Jones all start on your offensive line, and maybe you've got 3 cornerstone pieces moving forward. Now, if Riley Reif is significantly better, I would play him, but playing the young guys isn't a bad thing. So I'll ask you, who is going to be the starting right tackle at least week 1? I could see a scenario, maybe it's Reif, and then later on it's Borum, but week 1, starting right tackle, predict it. Type LB for Larry Borum, type RR for Riley Reif. Get your votes in, and I'm going to be very curious to see if Riley Reif plays in preseason game number 3 because he has not played in the preseason yet. Let's go to the defensive side of the ball. Defensive line went pretty heavy here. 11 total players. Robert Quinn, Angelo Blackson, Justin Jones, Trevis Gibson. Those are your 4 starters. Al-Qadim Muhammad, kind of a 5th starter. He's going to play a lot. Kairos Tonga, Mario Edwards, Dominic Robinson. Those guys are all safe, I think. Then you get to kind of the roster bubble guys like Sam Kamara, Micah Dude Treadway, Trayvon Coley. I think Kamara makes it. But Coley and Dude Treadway, they deserve it, I think. Coley has 3 sacks in 2 preseason games so far. He's shown me a lot as a high motor guy. He's also played a decent amount in the NFL. He signed along with Devontae Harris a couple of weeks ago, and he's really impressed me. I think he deserves to be in this rotation. Dude Treadway is a UDFA. I think he's got a real shot to make this team. Didn't do as much in the second preseason game, but played really well in the first one. He's on the bubble. I think he's got a shot. I'm going to go heavy on defensive line, which I think makes sense because I think there's going to be a lot of rotation there for Matt Eberflus. Linebacker, this is a weird one as well because obviously Roquan continues his holdout. I maintain that I think he will play week 1, but we'll see. Nicholas Morrow is going to make the team. Matt Adams got banged up against Seattle. We have not heard an update there. Assuming it's not serious, he'll obviously make the team. Caleb Johnson also got nicked up. He's a core special teams player. If he's healthy, I think he'll make it. Jack Sanborn, I think, has earned a roster spot at this point. Notice I left off Joe Thomas. He could make it as well for either one of these other guys, or they could go 6 at linebacker. I don't know if I want to go 6 here personally because I think they're going to sit in nickel a lot, but Thomas is a name to keep an eye on. And quite frankly, I do think linebacker is a position that they could go out and sign a player between now and week 1, maybe based on someone else's roster cut, so keep that in mind as well. Now, will Roquan Smith get a new deal before week 1? Will he sign a new contract? Type Y for yes, type in for no. What do you guys think? Will Roquan get a new deal from the Bears between now and week 1? Let's go to cornerback. I think this is the hardest one for me right now. Your top 3 are locks. Jalen Johnson, yes, Kendall Vilder's going to make this team. Maybe there's a scenario where he doesn't start. Gordon starts on the outside, and either Tavon Young or Thomas Graham start at nickel. But that is what makes it really hard right now because Thomas Graham Jr. and Tavon Young have been injured. They haven't been practicing, especially Thomas Graham. Young's been in and out, but Graham's been dealing with the hamstring issue. I thought he had a real chance to start. I thought Tavon Young had a chance to start at nickel. Gordon's been getting reps there. Now, Eberflus did say after the Seahawks game they want to look more at Gordon on the outside, but he strictly played nickel against Seattle. That makes me think that's where he's going to start. And if that's the case, Kendall Vilder is your outside corner opposite of Jalen Johnson. That's just the reality. Now, do you want, your 2 backup corners to be mostly slot guys and Tavon Young and Thomas Graham? Could you keep a Lamar Jackson? I think corner's another position. You could still go sign somebody if you want another outside depth guy. We'll see. It's hard to project. Hopefully we could see Graham or Young in the last preseason game, but we haven't heard an update on Thomas Graham in a while, so I'm not sure what's completely going on there. All right, safety. obviously your starters are simple. Eddie Jackson, Jaquan Brisker, those are your 2 starters. DHC is safe, DeAndre Houston-Carson. Dane Cruikshank's been hurt quite a bit, and we haven't seen a ton from him, but I think he's going to be a key special teams guy. I think he's going to make it, and I think Elijah Hicks earned a spot with his performance in Seattle. Had the special teams touchdown, scoop and score on the muff punt. While that was a bit of a gimme, still had to be up there and make the play. But Eberflus is going to like that because hits principles, getting those takeaways. They love that stuff. So I think Hicks is going to make it and be a guy on special teams. Maybe he could be in and Cruikshank could be out. We'll see. Right now I got 5 safeties, so we'll go from there. Special teams, very simple. It's been finalized since day one. Cairo Santos is your kicker. Trenton Gill's the punter, who's been great in the preseason, by the way. And then Patrick Scales, the long snapper, your 3 specialists for this season. All right, grade my updated 53-man roster projection right now, A, B, C, D, or F. I'm pretty confident that I got at least 50 out of the 53. Again, there's a few tricky ones in there, but let me know. We'll do one more projection after the final preseason game, I would imagine, so keep that in mind as well. A, B, C, D, or F, grade my updated 53-man roster. All right, practice squad. Now, I'm not going to project random guys on other teams for this practice squad projection, although there will definitely be guys on other teams that the Bears signed to the practice squad, so I'll keep it internal. Nathan Peterman's the quarterback. I don't think you need an extra running back since I'm going heavy at running back. So Jake Tong's the fullback. I think he'll be on the practice squad. Isaiah Coulter, Daz Newsome, Dante Pettis at wide receiver. Chase Allen, the tight end. I think he's a lock to make the practice squad if he doesn't make the roster. Zach Thomas, same deal, rookie lineman. I think he'll be there. Latavius Simmons, he sticks around. Dieter Eiselen, I think he'll be on the practice squad now, considering Doug Kramer's on season-ending IR. You need a guy that in a pinch could get called up and play center for a week. He could do that. Charles Snowden, the edge, hadn't done much in the preseason, but I think they'll keep him around here. LaCale London, who I actually have enjoyed seeing this preseason, but not good enough to make the roster. Joe Thomas there. You can keep some vets. I think there's a chance he could make the practice squad. Could get poached by another team. DeMarquise Gates as well, the USFL player. Played pretty well against the Seahawks. Maybe he could force his way onto the roster bubble. I don't think he's there yet. Duke Shelley, Lamar Jackson, they're kind of on the bubble to make the 53, but if not, I think they'll be here. And then A.J. Thomas, the safety, who's flashed a bit as well. I think he'd be a prime practice squad player. All right, there you go, 53-man roster projection and a projected practice squad. We'll do this one more time between now and final cut-down day. You made it to the end of the video, so the real ones got to rise up. Type FGB in the chat. Hey, get your FGB t-shirts at chatsports.com/FGB.